Right now, the whole world is watching Roland Garros. Millions of people are following the matches, discussing results, arguing in the comments. And most of them don't understand what this actually is. Why is a tennis tournament named after a person? What is the Grand Slam? And what does a helmet have to do with it? Why does it happen in Paris? And why are the courts red, not green like in the movies? We'll sort all of that out now. But we won't start with tennis. We'll start with a boy from an island in the Indian Ocean who dreamed of becoming a pianist and accidentally became one of the most famous Frenchmen in history. Roland Garros was born in 1888 on the island of Réunion, a French island in the Indian Ocean. His parents were musicians and wanted their son to follow in their footsteps. Until he was 12, everything went to plan. At 12, he fell ill with pneumonia and was sent to the south of France to recover. He took up sport, football, rugby, cycling. His lungs grew strong. His career as a pianist did not. At 21, he found himself at an air show in Reims. 8 days watching planes, and that was it. His mind was made up. That same summer, he began taking flying lessons. Then came several years of records and air races. And in 1913, Roland Garros did something that made him famous across all of France. He became the first person in history to fly across the Mediterranean Sea in an aeroplane, from France to Tunisia, with no navigation systems, just a map and a compass. A national hero. Then the war began. Garros joined the French army as a pilot, and there he made another invention. He developed a way to fire a machine gun through a spinning propeller without blowing it to pieces. Before him, it was impossible. After him, every fighter plane in the world was fitted this way. In 1915, he was captured by the Germans. He escaped in 1918, returned to the front, and was shot down on October 5th, 1918, one day before his 30th birthday, 5 weeks before the end of the war. This is where the story begins, and tennis enters it almost by accident. The French tennis team wins the Davis Cup, the Team World Championship, where countries play against each other. The French beat the USA in the final, which was held in Philadelphia. Under the rules of those years, the defending champion hosts the following year's final on home soil. France had won, which meant the 1928 final had to be held on French ground. One problem: there was no tennis stadium in France. A frantic search began for land and money. The owner of the tennis club Stade Français, Émile Lisieux, agreed to give up 3 hectares of his grounds free of charge. But he had one condition: the stadium had to bear the name of Roland Garros. Lisieux and Garros had studied together at the same business school in Paris. Then both fought as pilots. Garros died. Lisieux survived. And now, 10 years later, he wanted his friend to be remembered. The condition was accepted. The stadium opened in 1928. Garros never became a tennis champion. He played rugby professionally. He had almost nothing to do with tennis, but his name is now known around the world, simply because a classmate didn't forget his friend. Tennis was invented in England in the 19th century. Back then it was called lawn tennis, tennis on the lawn. Played on grass, the first Wimbledon in 1877, all on grass, all green. But Europe is not England. In the south of France, the hot summer scorched the grass within weeks of it being laid. Expensive, impractical, unreliable. The French began experimenting with clay, crushed earth and brick dust. It turned out cheaper, more durable, and the ball bounced differently, slower, higher, with more spin. A different game, more tactical and less fast. This is how France developed its own tennis culture, on clay. And the red color is simply the color of that brick dust the court is made from. When France needed a stadium for the Davis Cup final, they built it in Paris. The capital, the infrastructure, the money. The 16th arrondissement, on the edge of the Bois de Boulogne. That is how Paris became the tennis capital of Europe. Now, the main question that everyone Googles when watching Roland Garros for the first time: what is the Grand Slam? And what does a helmet have to do with it? There is no helmet. It's a translation from French, Grand Chelem. The word comes from the card game bridge, where Grand Slam means taking all 13 tricks in a single hand without conceding a single one to your opponent. Total victory, nothing left on the table. In tennis, the term appeared in 1938. American Donald Budge won all 4 major tournaments in a single season: the Australian Open, Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open. Journalist Alison Danzig wrote in a newspaper that Budge had pulled off a grand slam, like a perfect hand in bridge. The metaphor stuck. Since then, the Grand Slam refers both to each of the 4 tournaments individually and to the possible achievement of winning all 4 in a single year. In the entire history of tennis, only a handful of players have managed it. Roland Garros is one of these 4, the only one on clay, the only one in Paris, and the only one named not after a place, but after a person. So, a boy from a tropical island wanted to become a pianist, became a pilot, and died 5 weeks before the end of the war. His classmate survived, became the owner of a club, and 20 years later gave up his land for a stadium, with one condition. Tennis ended up here because the French won a cup and urgently needed a stadium. The clay is because grass couldn't survive the heat. The Grand Slam is from bridge. None of this was planned. It just happened that way. History rarely looks the way it seems from the outside. If you're interested, subscribe to the channel.